For more information on my programs, please visit masajady.com. That's MASSAJADY.com.
Hello, this is Masati. Welcome to my podcast, Xponential Intelligence. This is podcast episode 114, True Meaning of Jesus, Part 2. And as always, we'll have a meta healing at the end. This is part of the Demystifying Religion series, and I did Buddha, I did Muhammad. I'm going to do Jesus now. I did Jesus Part 1 a while back, but again, Christmas time. I want to create that series, so we're going to do Part 2 of Jesus and demystifying Jesus and its religion, and actually separating Jesus from the religion, because the two very, very, very different. Right? Since we do get a lot of new people, and again, welcome all you new people. I recommend listening to some of the older podcasts first, just so you get a feel, maybe from podcast 60 on up, maybe the first few podcasts, and then jumping up to, say, 60 on up, just to get you up to speed on that. But and for the new people, the concepts, the understandings, the information, the knowledge that I get is from a higher order. I don't go through the internet or any other sources similar to that, right, to get my knowledge, information. Again, it's pure knowledge connected from Xponential Intelligence. By the way, this is what I teach, Xponential Intelligence, and anybody can really tap into that knowledge. And that's why a lot of times when I say something, even if it doesn't ring congruent with you, right, according to your normal way of thought, it feels right to you, right? There's an inkling of truth, even if it's a little different or a lot different. That inkling of truth is because there is only, say, one truth, and that's what Jesus actually talked about. So just some misunderstandings, some new highlights that I've gotten thinking about Jesus, because Jesus, in my words, is quite a beautiful man. Again, I'm very different from the religion. So I want to celebrate Jesus because it is his so-called birthday, Christmas and so on, which is totally false. Again, a pagan holiday. Okay, but that's all covered in Part 1. Okay, I'm not going to get into all those other details that we did cover in Part 1. But it is a time of celebration for this great man, and mostly through the religion. But the religion kind of distorting the concepts of Jesus. If you really understand the studies or what he tried to teach, right? Very different. Again, like I said, and I keep repeating this over and over again. So obviously, just to get it through, Jesus is, again, very different. Very different than the religion. Again, sorry if I just keep repeating this. So just a couple things that I want to cover. Okay? And then I'll refer you to episode 80, The True Meaning of Jesus, Part 1, and then we'll do a meta healing. Okay? So what I want to uncover this time around about Jesus is that, many individuals, and this is so important that I see, okay, from very minimal to very extreme, right, is that the minimal, through the religion and through the ideas and the concepts and history that people read about, common day history that people read about Jesus, it's all about suffering. Right? You have to suffer in this realm to look brilliant, or to be good enough to look into the eyes of God or step into your Maker. Jesus never, ever said anything close to that. Okay? If you really look at his teachings, and you might have to read between the lines in some of the teachings of the Bible and some of the other religious texts associated to his name, or other websites that quote from the Bible. His life was never ever like that. His life was of splendor, of glory, of joy, of true love. It was never about suffering. His suffering came after he became a popular individual, taking away, the power and the control of, the Roman Empire. So again, just to emphasize, you do not have to suffer to understand the ways of Jesus. Right? From the minimalist, right? Suffering in our normal daily lives, right? Trudging through, moving away from the abundance of life, right? The happiness, the joys of life, again, right? Working hard, not feeling good about ourselves, all those things, not his message. And then to the extreme, where people celebrate by flogging themselves, nailing themselves to the cross. Again, to celebrate the pain that Jesus went through to understand, say, the sufferings of humanity, and then open into his enlightened state where he healed individuals. Right? According to the history that even, again, your history or the biblical type history, Jesus suffered at the end of his abilities. He never suffered to accomplish or acquire his abilities. It's because of his abilities he suffered. So that means that you do not have to suffer to come into the space that he did. Right? He got chastised, he got abused, demoralized, just like we do today. Right? When you come into your brilliance, there are people that are going to cut you down. Right? So be wary of that. So that was his message for you. Sub part of that is that, Jesus' abilities is that, and again, I emphasize this, Jesus' abilities comes from pure love, which is never, hardly ever talked about. And it goes back to the suffering. Right? But his abilities, his healing prowess, just comes from bringing in so much purity that you feel that immense love. Now, that immense love is so powerful because it is very, very different than the love that we think we know. Most individuals don't even know what love is. Right? We're too insecure for that. There's a podcast on that, by the way, that I've done. But again, very insecure, very intellectual. So we can't even fathom, we can't even come close to the level of love. We get bits and pieces here, and some people claim that they get bits and pieces, but again, most of the time, that comes from a hurt space, that they feel the love, say, that Jesus has created. Right? So you really have to be at a much, much higher level to really understand the conceptual context of what Jesus brought in as, say, this force called love that could heal anything, bring people back from the dead. That's how pure that love is. Right? To feel that much love, well, you have to be a pure vessel. So you can't have any distortions, disillusionments, insecurities, right? Any weaknesses that you have, even with that purity of love that comes through, would get burned away for you. Again, to maintain that, or to be in that space of complete bliss. Not maybe all the time, but a lot of the time. Okay? You cannot exist in the disillusionment or any incompleteness. Otherwise, you would destroy yourself. That love would literally just burn a hole in you, and hence you would vanish. One other concept, and it might be in part 1 as well, but I just want to cover it. When Jesus said that he is the way, or I'm sorry, he actually said there's only one way. And then many of us, or many individuals, in all religions, mistake it that he said that he is the way. You have to go through him. And again, very inaccurate. Again, read your Bible accurately. Okay? He actually said that there is only one way to understand God. Okay? That's what I believe in. That's what Xponential Intelligence tells me. And that one way, again, only one way. It's not about being good. It's not about being bad. It's not about anything that any religion claims. But that one thing that he talks about is awakening. Awakening to the true presence that you are. So seeing yourself, not from the 1% that we think we are, the physicalness of this world, that we think we are, the husband, the lawyer, the doctor, whatever, somebody's spouse, right? Or somebody who's made a lot of money, or nothing like that. Those identities, again, 1% of who you are. What he was talking about is turning you around, awakening again, getting rid of the disillusionment, the distortions that we see ourselves, that we see this world in, turning that around to see ourselves in the 99% brilliance that we are. Again, awakening to our true self, the 99%. Right? That's what he was talking about. And again, there's only one way to connect to that space, to connect to pure source, or as he would call it, God. And my last comment, which really hurts me, and almost just thinking about, again, really just can't even find my words now. It really saddens me. Okay, there's millions of people that celebrate this beautiful man, they celebrate this beautiful man by putting him on a cross, right? The symbol, that religion, the cross. They celebrate him by wearing red shoes, signifying his blood, walking in his blood. They celebrate this beautiful man by drinking his blood. And probably much more. Now let me ask you a couple questions about that. Okay? If it makes sense to you. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't celebrate this man. Okay? But let's give him some honor. Okay? In fact, I'll try to get a picture of this disgusting statue that I see in a church. It's about Jesus. He's got a thorn. He's naked, other than a loincloth. He's got thorns around his head. And he's carrying this loincloth. Again, probably blood dripping on it. You can't really tell because of the statue. But again, disillusionment of a beautiful man. So just a couple questions on just to see how ridiculous that is to honor somebody like that. Okay, back in the olden days, what they would do is that one, they would drink the enemy. They would drink the blood of their enemy. Okay, in many cultures, to become strong, or as strong as their enemies. Okay. They would walk in the enemy's blood, or to celebrate the animal's blood, to show conquering that enemy or animal. Okay. So is that what you're signifying? That is the momentum that it gives. And then the last question I have for you is that say, for example, you have a loved one that dies. They're riddled with cancer. Let's just make it real time here. They're riddled with cancer. They've lost their hair, their weight, they're sickly, they're deathly. So they die, right? They die. You put a picture up on your fireplace, or even a statue maybe of them. So just one question: would you put up a picture of them riddled, right? Distorted, eaten away from that cancer, or to celebrate their life? Do you put up a picture of their best times here, their most abundant times, their most thriving times, up on your fireplace mantle? So, and I don't know who's ever done that, but I've never seen it or heard of anybody do the first choice. Right? Again, it is of their highest brilliance, right? Their most abundant time, their most fun time of that individual that you put up on the picture, or when you go to the wake, right? So, with that being said, why in the hell would you put up a picture of this brilliant man? Many people call it their God, all abused, all distorted. Again, he was never part of that anyway. Why not put a picture of his brilliance, his love emanating from him, right? Rather than the distortions that the cross signifies, that some of the other heinous pictures that they put up in churches or anywhere else. To find out more, part 1 is episode 80 on my podcast, Xponential Intelligence. So what we'll do this time is bring in, say, the love and joy, the true celebration of Jesus through the holidays for you. Whether you're part of that faith or not, it doesn't matter. Again, this man was a brilliant man. Anybody who is of intelligence can benefit from the levels that he's ascended to. All right. So, again, taking a nice strong deep breath in as we get into this meta healing. Meta healing is where I guide you into a deep state beyond hypnosis, beyond meditation, NLP, and you'll soon find out, even if you've had issues meditating, guiding you to that deep state, and then working on your source code, or your spirit, if you'd like to call it that, awakening your spirit to, again, understand who you truly are, the brilliance that you are. So, again, noticing where you are, sitting or standing or lying down. If you're new, break away from the past by standing up, trying something different. Strong deep breath in from the nose, inhaling through the nose, nice slow 4 count. holding it. And again, nice and slow, releasing through the mouth, controlled 4 count. As we do that, becoming aware of us, right? Your head, your neck, maybe your shoulders relaxing and letting go. As I start to generate those frequencies that help you transform, no matter if you're listening to this in real time or on a recording. Again, just noticing your shoulders relax, let go. Some of you might be feeling a little different already. Another strong, deep, brilliant breath in, and same process, inhaling 4 count, holding 4 count, releasing through the mouth, controlled 4 count, nice and slow. Becoming even more aware of the interaction between you and your surroundings. So whatever you're sitting or standing, lying down on, becoming familiar with the material. Whether it's hardwoods, carpeting, furniture, whatever it might be. Again, noticing your clothes on your flesh. As your lower back, perhaps, right down into the legs, start to relax. As you get more comfortable, you might even notice your breathing slowing down. As we take that group breath in again, and a confident breath in, holding it, releasing, connecting to a lot of people, whether they're listening to it at the exact same time as you are or any other time, and connecting to that mastermind. There's a lot of momentum. There's a lot of people that listen to this podcast. Thank you. Again, we all want that same thing, more abundance in our life. All right, so we're facing the same direction. It creates massive strength to pull us out of those ruts that we get stuck in, right? Those ropes or chains that bind us, pushing us through the blocks that we face. And then another strong deep breath in. Asking ourselves, how do I connect to pure source even stronger? That question again, how do I connect to pure source even stronger? Nothing religious or nothing spiritual. You're really asking, how can I become limitless? Right, my limitless self. If you are of a certain faith, this will help you purify your faith, understand it at a higher level so it actually benefits you. Nothing to dissuade you. Noticing your breath again as we go deeper yet. Coming into the heart space, your solar plex area. One, for those of the faith or understanding Jesus, bringing in those frequencies, current frequencies basically, right? Of abuse, distortion, and all that he went through, suffering, right? And then, so the standard frequencies, notice how it feels as I generate those for you. As a note, if you're going to a certain religious organization, these are the frequencies that surround you. For some, it might be a little comforting, but if you step away and let me help you push that frequency away from you, you can see it from a different light. There we go. Strong deep breath in again, nice and strong. Opening your eyes for a second, just scratching that frequency and cleaning the slate, if you will, starting fresh. And celebrating this beautiful man known as Jesus in his proper way, following his footsteps. Let's go bring in the true meaning, the true frequencies. All you have to do is strong deep breath in. Again, that loving breath in into the solar plex, the heart area. And we'll just sit in silence as I generate the true frequencies of Jesus. As we end, you can stay here as long as you wish, as long as you stay in this space. Still be connected to that mastermind. Thanks for being on the podcast. Thanks for listening. Celebrating the holidays, Christmas, in its proper sense. Take care. Happy holidays. Notice what you notice. And then notice the details of what you're noticing.
For more information on my programs, please visit masajadi.com. That's MASSAJADY.com. Or join us on Facebook for more information. We do a lot of Facebook Live.